Welcome to Firebase Release Notes for November, where we cover recent big and small updates from Firebase. Now we have 7 topics today, so let's dig in right away. Duet AI is Google's brand for integrating generative AI features into many of its products. And at Google I/O, we showed off Duet AI for Workspace. But since then, many more Google products started integrating Gen AI. At Demo Day on November 8th, Firebase announced that we're working on Duet AI for Firebase, a helpful Firebase assistant to aid you in your work. We also presented AI-powered automated pre-release testing. This new integration between our app distribution and test lab products lets you run automated tests on devices in our lab for pre-release versions of your app. And we're integrating more AI into testing your app, which is like a brain transplant for our robot testing tool. Check the links to videos about both of these in the description. The Firebase console is where you manage all aspects of your Firebase projects, and we just updated it. You can now restore a deleted app for up to 30 days, and you can select what organization a new project belongs to. But the changes that you're most likely to notice are the new visuals in the existing light mode and our brand new dark mode. Check the new visuals out, let me know how you like them in the comments. From now on, when you develop Flutter apps that use Firebase on a Windows machine, you no longer have to spin up an Android emulator, iOS simulator, or a Chrome debugging instance. Instead, you can just build and test on a native Windows app, as the Firebase SDKs for Firestore, Auth, and Storage now support this platform too. This means that you get a faster development cycle on Windows before delivering your final build to Android, web, and Apple platforms. We also had a bunch of updates for Firestore, our document-based NoSQL database. We launched OR support for Firestore queries back in March for most platforms, but we just also added it to our SDKs for Unity, C++, and to our brand new SDK for Flutter on Windows that I just mentioned. And speaking of queries, I talked about the server-side sum and average operators in the Web SDK last month, and we now also launched it to our SDKs for iOS and Android. And the Flutter SDK update is in the works. Next, you can now delete a Firestore database from your project and then reclaim its name for a new database. And you can also set a flag on each database to prevent deleting it accidentally. And do you ever have a collection where you want to exclude most of the fields from Firestore's greedy indexing of individual fields? Well, until recently you had to manually exempt each of those fields. But you can now add a wildcard to exclude all of the fields and then explicitly add the individual fields that you do want to index. The Firebase SDK for Apple platforms was originally written for Objective-C, and the SDK for Android was originally written for Java. But since then, these platforms have evolved to more modern languages, namely Swift and Kotlin, and our SDKs have always supported those with extensions. But we've now switched over to making Swift and Kotlin the default languages. And this means that you can access Kotlin and Swift APIs without adding extra dependencies or imports. Here's an improvement for those of you that use the first generation of Cloud Functions as the serverless backend for your apps. Cloud Functions Gen 1 runtimes now default to getting weekly security updates after they've been created. This means that instead of getting the latest security updates only when you deploy, these new instances also get weekly security updates automatically. And we just made a major behind-the-scenes change to Firebase A/B testing, switching from Bayesian inferences to Frequentist inferences. Now, if those words trigger your inner statistics geek and you long to learn more, check back on our channel in 2 weeks, as Marina has a full deep dive video about this change and what benefits it brings. Those were all the updates we have time for today. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel below. Now, my name is Frank, or Puff, and I'll see you on a future episode of Firebase Release Notes.